Hey, what is up? Hope everybody's doing well out there. This is Cam Jennings coming at you on behalf of epicconversions.com. Wanted to talk to you guys today about the power of pivoting in business. It's something that I learned, a couple years in to doing business online. That like everything's kind of connected. Everything's kind of connected, and a lot of times it's not really about like stopping what you're doing and starting over with something completely different. Like a lot of times it's just about pivoting what you're doing in a different direction, and then it'll start working just fine again, right? Now I know that like might sound kind of weird, but I wanted to kind of like tell you a tiny bit about my history, my origin, to kind of demonstrate it a little better for you. So I started working online in 2011. I had lost my job in 2010. Toward like the summer of 2010, I lost my job, and then I decided to start going back to college for business. I was in the medical industry. So when I went back to school for business, I discovered online book selling. I was selling college textbooks, and I was doing pretty good, but it was really just about paying for my school books at that time when I was going to college. And I realized that I could pretty much get my books for free, pretty much break even. I'd buy my college books on Amazon, turn around and sell them on Amazon. And I was like, that's how I got started with online book selling. From there, I branched out. I pivoted, right, a little bit. I branched out to not just selling college textbooks and buying college textbooks. I branched out to library book sales, right? And I started, buying and selling used books. Obscure nonfiction is where I started. Obscure nonfiction, and I was doing pretty good. Anyways, at the height of my online used book selling, I was making a really healthy like 5 figures a year, and it was crazy. It was awesome. But I had my eyes on other things. I saw like this Amazon KDP platform, and I thought, hey, this online book selling thing has kind of like changed my life, really. I think I'd like to write a book about it. So I did. I wrote a book called From Broke to Boss, and it was about online used book selling. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with my connection here. I see I have a slow connection for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I've been like a dead spot or something, and it's not getting good connection. But anyways, so we'll see. We'll see how well this video turns out. But anyways, so I wrote a book about how to sell used books online, and I published it on Amazon KDP, okay? And I don't know, in my mind I thought it was going to be like this $1 million bestseller or something. I don't know why, because online used book selling had changed my life, so I thought I'm going to write this book, and I have like the secret ingredients, and I'm going to change everyone else's lives who's having trouble. That's not what happened. I published it on KDP, and like many people who probably publish an ebook on KDP, like mine sold, it was selling like 1 or 2 copies a month. It was not doing well. But I didn't know what I was doing, man. I never launched anything before. I didn't know anything about marketing. All I knew at this time was online used book selling on Amazon. That's what I knew. And it was fine. But I was upset because I put a lot of time and effort into the book. I spent like a couple months writing it, but it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So what did I need to do? I needed to either give up or try something different to get the book to do what I wanted it to do, right? So I pivoted. Instead of just listing it on Amazon, I needed a new way to get some traffic, okay? So I decided I would start a YouTube channel talking about what I was doing with my used book business, right? And I said, I'm going to commit to 1 book a week, okay? or one video a week. What am I going to talk about? I'm just going to talk about, stuff I've been doing this week in my used book business. Maybe I'll talk about a book I got at a garage sale, or maybe I'll talk about a haul I got at a flea market, or maybe I'll talk about like a bulk purchase I made off of Craigslist or something like that. I'll talk about what I'm doing, just different things, and how much. Oh, look, I paid 25 cents for this book. It's going for $70 on Amazon right now. Or I'll talk about what I just sold on Amazon and how much of a profit I made. Stuff like that. I just talk about the business I was doing, and I committed to one video a week. I started that channel. It's called Zero Fats Channel. Why was it called the Zero Fats Channel? Because originally it was a channel about me losing some weight, and I did like 2 videos, and I kind of just abandoned it, and I let it go for like years. And when I wanted to start a new channel to talk about my book selling business, I used the channel I already had, and I didn't change the name of it. I just left it the Zero Fats Channel. That's why it was called Zero Fats. So anyways, these videos about selling books on Amazon, people liked them, and the channel started growing. I probably got up to 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, and now at that time, this is probably, I don't know, 2012, 2011. At that time, 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, man, I was earning about $600-700 a month, between $500 and $700 a month in ad revenue on YouTube. Okay, so it was just pretty good income. It was chucking right along. My ebook on Amazon started gaining traction. Like, I started getting more sales. People were liking the videos, and in every single one of my videos, I pitched my ebook. Hey, if you like what I'm doing and you like to do something like this, I wrote a book about how to do it. Check it out the link in the description. And that's what I did in every video, and I started pushing more traffic to my ebook. So my plan worked. I found a new traffic source for my ebook. I was getting more people interested in my ebook. But I was still bothered. I was bothered because Amazon was taking, like, I think it was 35% of my revenue every time I sold a book, and I was only selling it for $4.99 a book, $4.99 a book. Ain't nobody getting rich on that. So they were taking 35%, and in my mind, I was like, why am I paying you guys 35% when, like, I'm doing all the extra work. I'm the one who has to do the YouTube channel. I'm the one who has to make a video every week. I mean, why am I giving you guys all the money? I mean, I'm the one who basically informed all this, extra traffic, So I didn't think it was right for me to pay them 35% anymore. It didn't make sense. It was different when it was all organic traffic on Amazon. They were taking 35%. No problem. I'm taking advantage of your marketplace. However, it's not the same when I'm pushing all the extra traffic. It doesn't make sense. Why don't I just push that traffic to my own website and sell the book from there? That was my thought on it. I mean, 35% is a considerable amount of money once you start getting up into like thousands of dollars. But anyways, so what did I do? The business wasn't exactly how I needed it to be. About this time, I was reading this book called Membership Sites That Make Money, right? By this guy named Perry Belcher. All right, and you probably know who that is. Pretty famous marketer. Perry Belcher wrote this book. It's a little $2.99 throwaway ebook. You can still find it on Amazon right now for $2.99. Membership Sites That Make Money. And I bought that. I was reading. I've always been a big reader, okay? I've always read, came up with ideas and stuff like that. Some of them I try and some of them I don't. A lot of times, if something's working for me, I tend to not do something different. I tend to keep doing what's working until it's not working anymore, and then I'm like motivated to take action. I could get into that. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, so my hand was forced on this situation. I probably would have kept on being disgruntled, pushing traffic to my ebook. I might have made a change. I don't know. But my hand was forced, okay? YouTube terminated my YouTube account, right? They terminated Zero Fats channel. And just like that, I went from that extra $500 or $600, $700 a month I was making on YouTube to zero. They didn't tell me why. They told me nothing. And I only had a couple thousand subscribers, so I didn't even have enough, like, I didn't even have an email. I couldn't even email them. You know, YouTube is very elitist. You can't even reach out to their customer support unless you have so many subscribers. I didn't have enough yet. So what happened? Well, the big thing that happened was I lost my trust with YouTube. Because I wasn't backing up those videos either. You know, I was putting up on YouTube, and then I was deleting them off my hard drive to save on space at the time. But I thought, you know what? Okay, that's how it is. Now, it was really a good thing because it made me very paranoid of YouTube. And then not just YouTube, it started making me paranoid anywhere I didn't have control, which was also Amazon, right? Because when you think about it, at that time, the majority of my income was coming from Amazon. I was selling used books on Amazon, and I was selling an ebook on Amazon. And I was like, dude, what happens if Amazon does the same thing that YouTube just did to me? I'd be done. I'd be done, all right? I would be down for the count, okay? That's what would happen. So I was looking up like all these horror stories on Amazon forums about people who had their Amazon accounts terminated, and people going from like a healthy six figures a year to zero in a matter of like 24 hours just because YouTube decided they were going to terminate their account for some weird reason. So I was like, man, this is not the way it has to, it can't be this way. I have to have more control over the situation. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take action on this. And I pivoted again, right? Now, I didn't like change my entire business, okay, you guys? I didn't change my entire business. I said, look, here's what I'm going to do. I've been reading this book about membership sites that make money. I'm going to take my ebook. And I'm going to turn it into a membership club, okay? I'm going to have my own website. I'm going to take every chapter of my book, Broke to Boss, and that's going to be a module, and I'm going to make a video for each chapter as well, you know, basically talking about what I wrote. So now they got the written and they got the video above it, and that's the module. That's going to be the core of my membership club. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to agree to publish 5 to 8 fresh pieces of content a month, exclusive pieces of content for this membership club. And that was my plan, okay? So what did I do? I pivoted from sending traffic to, to Amazon to selling an ebook. I pivoted from an ebook to a membership club. Okay, but it was basically the same business. I was still selling used books on Amazon. I was still, wanting to do like digital content about that subject, but I was awake to how much lack of control that I had, and I needed to get more of that control, right? So I pivoted away from pushing traffic to an ebook to pushing traffic to a membership club. All right. Now, you might think, well, how'd you push the traffic? They terminated your YouTube channel. Well, in my mind, I was going to start a new YouTube channel. And it was going to do the same thing that my old YouTube channel did, okay? The only difference was it wasn't going to push traffic to the ebook. It was going to push traffic to my membership club. So I did. My old channel was called Zero Fats. When I started my new YouTube channel, I wanted people to still be able to find me, okay? So I called myself Zero Fats Returns. Right? And that is a YouTube channel that's still out there to this day. You can find Zero Fats Returns on YouTube. My very first video, we'll be talking about how I'm back and I started a new YouTube channel. And that video is now, I don't know, it's over a decade old now probably because I've been doing this for a long time. But the point is, I came back with a new YouTube channel. And what's changed? I'm still using a YouTube channel to drive traffic. I'm still selling used books on Amazon, but what's changed? The change was small, right? I pivoted from selling an ebook, doing what I was doing, talking about what I was doing, to selling a membership club, talking about what I was doing. The membership club made me considerably more money than the ebook, okay? But it wasn't like me destroying my entire business. It was me pivoting one area of my business, right, that I didn't like anymore because I felt like I didn't have enough control. So what happened next? Well, running the membership club was very educational for me, and I had kind of developed this formula. So I repeated the formula, YouTube channel to membership club, in another niche. You can find another YouTube channel that I had created called, NutriBullet Time, where I was pushing traffic to a membership club called Blending for Your Health. So I repeated the process in a whole nother niche. Simple little formula, one video a week, talking about one very specific subject, and push into a membership club. And it worked really, really well. Repeated this formula that I thought was doing really good. At the same time, I expanded my Amazon KDP process. I said, you know what, let me go, because my book was still up there for sale. Broke to Boss was still up there for sale. But I thought, how can I publish more books on Amazon? And that's when I found public domain, and I started researching public domain and non-copyrightable content, because not all content is public domain, but it's also not copyrightable. Recipes are one of those things that are not copyrightable. You can't copyright mere lists of ingredients and basic cooking instructions. Now you can copyright forms of expression. You can copyright like, hey, my grandmama gave me this recipe when I was 3, and this big story you have about it, that's copyrightable. But mere lists of ingredients and basic cooking directions are not copyrightable, okay? So in that little gray area, I found a whole other source of content, and I expanded my knowledge base to learn about public domain and non-copyrightable content. Another thing that's not copyrightable is statistics. You can't copyright mere statistics, okay? And there's a lot of things you can't copyright. So in that area, there's a lot of potential for really interesting content that you can create. So I started focusing on Golden Age comic books, like things that were not copyrightable, publishing them on Amazon, and I started publishing recipe books on Amazon, thematic recipe books, like 35 pizza recipes, or 25 protein smoothie recipes, stuff like that, and I would curate them from the internet, and I would create my own themes around them. And I could put a book like that together in about an hour. So it was really quick. It was a really good way to add extra, publish extra content on Amazon, and to really kind of explore the KDP space and see what I could do with it, see if I can make money. Now that was back then. Amazon has much stricter rules on public domain content now. I want you to know, in case you want to repeat something I've done. The point of this video is not to teach you what to do. The point of this video is to teach you the power of pivoting your business and not just scrapping your business, okay? So I pivoted, right? That was a pivot. Taking Amazon KDP and looking at it as a place to just publish an ebook about what I was doing with my used business. Well, now I've expanded, haven't I? I have expanded my used book business to now have a digital ebook business, right? The whole nother branch of my business. I have pivoted. I have branched out. So now I'm not just like the used bookseller guy. I'm also the membership club guy. I'm also the guy with 2 different YouTube channels, in 2 different niches. And I'm also the ebook guy, right? So now my business has branched out. It's gotten more complicated. And it was really a collection of businesses, right? They weren't really connected. My one club was called Adventures on the River, where I talked about selling used books. My other club was called Blending for Your Health, where I talked about basically getting healthy with smoothies and diet and exercise and stuff like that. My Adventures on the River club was $14.97 a month. My Blending for Your Health was $5 a month. So these were low ticket membership clubs. But I'm learning a lot doing this stuff, and my business is branching out, and it's pivoting in different directions when things aren't working out. I never really thought any of these businesses were connected. Anyways, I was making money, right? I was making good money, but I was also creating jobs for myself. Think about it. I had to do a piece of content for my YouTube channel, Zero Fast Returns, every week. I had to do a piece of content for my other YouTube channel, Nutribullet Time, every week. I had to do 5 to 8 pieces of exclusive content for Adventures on the River every week. I had to do 5 to 8 pieces of content for Blending for Your Health every month, not every week for those two. I was still selling used books. I had a climate-controlled storage unit with thousands and thousands of used books in it, and every day I had orders. Okay, so I was publishing recipe books and old comic books on Amazon KDP. This is before Comixology. Okay, so the old Golden Age comic books, they had a market at that time. The public domain ones, they had a market on Amazon. Why? Because people wanted the old public domain comic books on their Amazon Kindles and on their tablets. And Amazon's marketplace, easy way to buy it, have it on your tablet. So that's why. Not like that anymore. Amazon's got a whole system for comics. It didn't exist back then. But anyways, so it was a lot. I was doing a lot, right? So I had pivoted a simple used book business. I had pivoted it and grown it into many different directions. And I was doing great, but I was really, really burned out, okay? We were making great money, but I had basically created like 7 jobs for myself. And I was burned out. So a lot of things happened in my life in 2015. My dad started getting sick. A lot of things were going on. Another thing I was doing was I started coaching people on YouTube, because at that time I had kind of cracked the code on YouTube, and I'd figured out the formula for growth on a YouTube channel. And I started teaching that to other people. So I was doing a lot, man. So anyways, at the end of 2015, I said, you know what? I was telling my wife, I said, you know what? I'm shutting all this stuff down. I can't keep doing all this stuff. I got another direction I want to go in. And you might think, well, what was the direction? Well, for you to understand that, you got to understand that I learned a lot doing my membership clubs. When you run a membership club, you learn a lot of stuff. I learned how to do affiliate marketing. I learned how to do interviews. I learned how to launch new products, believe it or not. Why did I learn how to launch new products? Because every month I would come out with fresh content for my membership clubs. And I started making that content thematic every month, right? So that way I could talk about it on my YouTube channel, right? Oh, it's the new module. I'm including a new module. It's all about this. It's a new module. It's all about that. It was basically like if you had a video game, and then they have like a downloadable content package, right? And it's the new supplemental content package for the game. That's kind of how I looked at it. So I learned a lot about like just launching things and trying to build hype and buzz. Membership clubs were my key for like my real start with digital marketing. So also I learned about email marketing, right? And why? Because it's the whole thing. I was on a mission for control. A mission for control. I didn't want anyone to be able to like just turn the switch and shut me down, right? I was paranoid about it. After YouTube and reading all those horror stories about Amazon, I was very paranoid about it. So I started building my email list, okay? So anyways, I was spreading myself too thin. So at the end of 2015, I shut Adventures on the River, my membership club, down. I shut Blending for Your Health, my other membership club, down. I still left my YouTube channels up because I thought, hey, those are my traffic sources. I'll use those for whatever I do next. So you see what I'm doing? I'm leaving my traffic sources in place, but I'm shutting those membership clubs down. Okay? So this isn't like scrapping my whole business and starting over, right? This is like shutting down one thing, but like replacing it with something else, right? So my vision was, and this is what I did in 2016, I pivoted to a new business called Epic Conversions. It's a business I still run to this day. And what was Epic Conversions? Epic Conversions focused on digital publishing. Digital publishing. My goal was to put out a new digital product every single month. Okay, and my goal was to start a new membership club around Epic Conversions, which is what I did. So I started publishing digital products every single month. I chose the Warrior Plus marketplace to do that. It was a marketplace that, well, anyways, you can visit Warrior Plus on your own. I wanted to pivot, right? I wanted to pivot to digital, and that's what I did. Now, I was still selling used books at the time, but I was ramping it down. I was ramping my used book business down. I switched over to Amazon FBA, right? Made it easier for me. I didn't have to go to the post office every day to send out orders. And I was scaling it down a little bit with the used books. As the digital was scaling up with Epic Conversions, the physical stuff was scaling down. So in March of 2016, I opened the doors for Epic Conversions. I launched a product called Affiliate Rising, and it was all about affiliate marketing. It was something I learned how to do, while I was running my membership clubs. That was the first product, and I was off to the races. So March, I opened Epic Conversions. In October of that year, I launched the Epic Conversions Insiders Club, all right? That was my first membership club for Epic Conversions. Now, since then, I've had several membership clubs under the Epic Conversions name. Some of them mid-ticket, some of them low-ticket. Those are my favorite kind of membership clubs, low to mid-ticket clubs. But what was I doing for traffic at that time? Well, I was still using good old faithful YouTube because it had served me well for years. And I had added another traffic source, which was, affiliate referral traffic, right? I started using affiliates from the Warrior Plus network. And that was another great way to get traffic, So the point is, my business is now pivoted from just traffic from YouTube. Now I'm doing traffic from YouTube and traffic from, affiliate referral traffic. And I branched out to Facebook as well, right? So what we see here is the same business selling used books on Amazon that grew and expanded and branched out and became something different. And when it became something different to the point where, like, hey, this business has too many branches, and I think I just want to scale it back to one branch. I'm just going to do one branch. But, that's the branch that's interesting to me, which was publishing digital products. That was what was interesting to me. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to close all this stuff down, and I'm going to start a new business that's just focused on this one branch. But if you think about it, it was a pivot. It wasn't really like I'm scrapping everything, I'm starting something brand new. It wasn't like that, man. There was still a lot of aspects of Adventures on the River and used book selling and the stuff I was doing in my clubs. There's still a lot of aspects of that when I started Epic Conversions. It was just like I grew as a marketer, and the original concepts were kind of being tweaked and pivoted and moved around until they really didn't resemble the old thing that I had anymore. And when that happened, it was time. In my case, I just had so many branches going out, like of different things, that I was like, I was out. I was burned out, dude. I was just burned out. So that's kind of how it went for me. And look, I could go on and on. Epic Conversions has pivoted several times, okay? When I first started out, I was publishing information products, and after a while, I felt like, information products, it was so like saturated. It is saturated. It's a saturated thing. You have to be a good marketer to stand out. But I felt like I could get an advantage by publishing PLR several years in. And I was like, well, the people who are doing PLR, I don't think they're trying very hard in most cases. The PLR is kind of vanilla. It's not really it doesn't have the same kind of insights as the information products have. So my idea was what if I published PLR with the same kind of unique style and the same kind of insights that I was putting into my info products? What if I just added, it's just like I'm creating info products, but I'm going to add this PLR license to it, right? And that was a great pivot for me. That worked. But it was different than what I was doing before with just the straight info products. Now I'm in the PLR license business. Then eventually I pivoted again because I wanted to eliminate some of my competition with PLR, and I just didn't want to be another PLR product. I wanted to find a way to stand out, So I decided to focus just on email. I'm going to do PLR email packages because at the time I didn't see anyone else doing that. And that was a pivot that worked for me. And I still run a club to this day called the Epic Conversions Newsletter Club. And it is $47 a month. And every single month, members get a brand new PLR email package. Okay. Now, the positioning, when AI came out in 2022, and it didn't come out in 2022. That's when ChatGPT hit. The end of 2022, ChatGPT hit. Everything went nuts. I knew immediately. I saw ChatGPT in November 2022 when it came out, and I used it, and I was like, dude, this is gonna like really rock the PLR business, right? Because why would people want to buy email packages for me when they can just come over here to ChatGPT and have it write it for them? Now that fact hasn't changed since 2022, okay? That is still, it's more true now than it ever was before because AI has gotten better and more people are aware of it, okay? But immediately I knew, hey dude, I got to start pivoting how I frame my PLR business. Like the framing of it, it used to be, the positioning of it, it used to be like, hey listen, buy my PLR because guess what? I'm a very experienced email marketer. And you can have professionally written email marketing that actually gets you results, gets you attention, and makes you money. Or you can spend like the next several years learning how to write really good and do your own email copy, to get these kind of results, right? So basically it was like I was selling a shortcut, okay? Well, when ChatGPT came out, there had to be a pivot in the positioning, right? It can't just, that can't be the message anymore. So the message became human written PLR, right? This is human written PLR. This is the genuine article. This isn't written by no AI. You're not going to get AI hallucinations. It was a pivot. It was a pivot in how the club was framed, how the product was framed, and I basically was modeling the boutique model. The boutique model, basically, be like a small clothing store on an expensive street, okay? A Beverly Hills boutique or whatever, and so don't be the Walmart, okay? Be like the boutique, right? So I really took a lot of inspiration from the boutique model when ChatGPT and AI, LLMs, and all that stuff started coming out. Because it's really about differentiation. Like, why are you better than ChatGPT? Why are you different than ChatGPT? Why is your stuff better, right? And that is kind of like the pivot that I made with the PLR stuff. And that was, look, man, I can sit here and talk to you about it now, and it's like it's easy. But this stuff didn't come easy, man. It was a lot of education and a lot of thought, trying to think, why would someone buy PLR for me when they can just create it for themselves with ChatGPT? Right? And to answer that, I had to become really good at ChatGPT. I had to understand, LLMs, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, all these LLMs. I needed to understand their strengths, their weaknesses, how I was different, what I brought to the table. Because it's not just a situation where you can just like create content and put a PLR license on it anymore. It ain't that. That's not it anymore. So it required a big pivot, right? But I just wanted to make this video just to point out that like all this time, I'm still just the guy who was selling used books on Amazon, and I just learned a bunch of extra stuff, and I just kept on pivoting my business, used bookseller on Amazon became Adventures on the River, and it became a YouTuber, and now I'm doing this to do this, and now, like, I'm too burned out, so I close these and I start something new. But what am I doing with the something new? I'm still driving the same traffic to it, and I've added an additional traffic source. And what was I doing? I was selling digital products, but I was already selling digital products in my membership club. So it's more like I just closed down a bunch of branches, and I just took this one branch and created a new business out of it. But the whole time, I was just basically creating businesses around what I was doing. And I was pivoting stuff I was already comfortable with. And to me, that's the power of the pivot, okay? A lot of times, I don't feel like you need to start a brand new thing and scrap everything you're doing. You just need to, like, take the stuff you're doing that's working well and pivot in a new direction and just change out one or two elements of what's going on. A lot of times I look at business like a car. You know, something breaks down, you don't like throw the whole car away. You replace the thing that's broken down. Like me, I drive a Honda Odyssey. It's only got 150,000 miles on it. I got it in the garage right now, having some preventative maintenance done on it because we're getting ready to go on vacation. And, you know, the guy tells me at the garage, man, these things are rock solid, dude. This thing, if you take care of it, it'll last you 400,000 miles. Well, man, guess what? That's music to my ears. That's what I love to hear. All right, so of course I'm going to take care of it. Of course, if something breaks down, I'm going to swap it out with a new part. Of course, when something's not working out, I'm going to change the thing that's not working out, but keep the whole thing. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, look, all the education you get online, all the things you read, all the things you try, all the things you take action on, it's all valuable. It all has value. You got to take the good and just make little pivots to get it to finally making money for you, and then to get it to making more money for you. You know, pretty soon, the amount of money you make, it's gonna, you know, pay. I remember when I was like, man, I wish I could just make enough money to pay my bills with what I make online, and then I could pay my rent with what I make from my job. I remember when that was happening. And then I remember when that was happening, I was like, man, I wish I could just make enough money to pay for everything online. And I remember when that started happening, and I could pay all my bills, including my rent, online. And then I remembered when I was making enough to where I could just quit my job and not have to work at all and just do this full time. And then I remembered in 2017, into 2017, I'll never forget it, man. I closed on my house on my birthday in 2017. And I was like, man, I literally just bought a house with the money that I make on the internet. And I was mind blown, okay? I was mind blown. But all of it came and all of it started with just this redneck dude who sells used books on Amazon and a series of pivots. I never had a grand plan to like wreck my entire like thing that I was doing and just start something completely different. I never had that plan. I always took aspects of what I was doing and carried it over to the next thing. I always have done that, and that served me very well. I never just throw everything away and just start over completely from scratch. I don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I've had the same email list, okay? I have the same email list. I have people on my email list because I do a pretty damn good job writing email, okay? So I have the same email list that I had back when I was running Adventures on the River. Just to kind of like, to my point here, I'm using the same email list that I had when I was running Adventures on the River, okay? I might have pivoted the business, but I still have the same people on my list. Why? Because they're following me. They're not just following the business. When I move, they move. As long as it's like in the same grain. Now, I did start a new email list when I was in the healthcare niche. You know, that was a little different. But the pivot there was I'm still using a YouTube to drive traffic. But in the same niche, you know, selling used books on Amazon, it's still about making money. You know, selling digital products, it's still about making money. There's a lot of crossover there. I still got people on my list that were on my list since I was in Adventures on the River, okay? So it's been a whole lot of pivoting over the years. So some people, you know, they look down on the pivot, and that's fine. You know, some people I really learned a lot from and admire and respect. They look down on the pivot. But me personally, my experience with pivoting has been really good. It's really smart. And I look at pivoting like a kind of a shortcut. I mean, I don't want to start completely from scratch. I want to take aspects of this business, move it over to this new thing. Why do I have to? I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what I look at it like. Anyways, those are my thoughts this morning on it. I don't know how well this is going to come out because I got a slow connection sometimes. But anyways, I hope this has been helpful to you. Good luck out there. If you like anything I've been talking about, get over to epicconversions.com. Okay? epicconversions.com and join my email list. All right, I send emails out 3 to 6 times a week. And I like to think I do my best free content by email. So get over there and join my email list. That's also where I make my offers. You won't see me making a lot of offers to people out here in the wild on social media. I make my offers to my email list. So if you want to see what I have to offer, what I have to sell, and I'm still selling things. Here's another thing. I'm still selling things every month. Every month I'm publishing new content. I've been doing that since I started like Adventures on the River, okay? Since I started Epic Conversions in 2016, the original plan for Epic Conversions was to publish a new paid piece of content every month. I'm still doing that. I still do that. I pivoted many times since I've started Epic Conversions, but there's aspects of it that are still exactly the same as it was when I first started. So anyways, look, that's all I got. I'm rambling. I hope this has been helpful to somebody out there, and good luck. I'm pulling for you. Peace now.